All right, welcome to the show, World Soccer Radio on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. I'm Nick Geber, along with Danny Page today. 800-878-play, 800-878-play. It's a privilege to be with you each and every weeknight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Danny, we've got a big show today. Lots of fun stuff in store.
Yeah, we're looking at a lot of out-of-the-box topics because, I don't know, the League One Cup doesn't exactly get me excited at this point. It's not the sexiest set of fixtures. We're going to talk about Everton, obviously, and their loan system. We're talking about Spanish football. It's just a really massive show on this Wednesday hump day, Nick. I'm pumped up.
Yeah, absolutely. I am too. You're right. We're going to talk Spanish football. We're going to talk about the situation at Everton. You know, Danny, I did a little shenanigans here, and I gave my predictions for all the matches through January 1. So I've got an idea.
Sat down and you predicted every match through January 1?
That's right. The soothsayer of football, the soothsayer of soccer is right here. I now know what the table will look like at the end of January the 1st, come January the 2nd. I'm going to tell you how it looks by my estimation. We'll have a little chin wag about that and see how that all fleshes out. Also, Danny, let's talk a little bit about Spanish football. Is it inherently unfair with all the government subsidies? Does it make a bit of a joke of FIFA and UEFA financial fair play? Let's talk about that today. And if we have a spare moment in our very jam-packed hour, maybe we'll throw in a little discussion about max fixing and my favorite Italian thug, Gennaro Gattuso. All of that and loads more right here, World Soccer Radio. Danny, put the Twitter out.
That is at World Soccer Radio for our show's account. You are at Nick Geber. I am at DPage805. We've been really active on Twitter over these last couple weeks. More like you have been really active on Twitter over these last couple weeks. Communicate with us. Get at the show. Tell Nick how ridiculous it is that he has Liverpool going top in the new year. Or at least that's my prediction on your predictions. But we will see what you put together for the remainder of the calendar year in 2013.
All right, big hello to our men and women in uniform listening on American Forces. It's always a privilege to speak to you, as we do each and every weeknight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, as well, of course, as the affiliate stations of the Sports Byline Network, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio.com. You can see the show live at watchwsr.com or at World Soccer Talk. Man, Danny, we are everywhere, but the one place we're not going to be for the next 3 minutes is right here as we're getting ready to go to break. We'll be right back after these messages. All right, welcome to the show. World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Nick Geber, Danny Page with you, a little Devo to bring it in today.
You're a little Devo.
Well, you know, what can I say? All right, so Danny, 800-878-PLAY-OUT, World Soccer Radio is our Twitter handle. Find us. It is called a Twitter handle, is it not?
It is a handle.
Okay, good.
It is absolutely a handle.
All right, just checking. So that's at World Soccer Radio, of course. Nick Geber and Danny Page with you. And our question today really is we're going to kick off the show and focus a little bit about the situation at Goodison Park, where, you know, Danny, you know I was no fan of Roberto Martinez. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to be a bandwagoner. I'm not going to say, yeah, I'm his biggest fan. I think he's done a masterful job at Everton. I like the style of football they're playing.
You thought he was rubbish. You thought they were going down. You thought you really thought he shouldn't even walk this earth.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right on all of the above. I thought, you know, he punched below his weight consistently at Wigan. You know, they got relegated. I felt he got a big job after that. Of course, the cup win was very helpful for him, obviously. But, you know, at the end of the day, he's done a good job at Everton so far. They've come out with a completely new mindset, a completely new personality. This is a team that on the day thinks they can beat anybody. This is a team that has no fear of anybody. This is a team that's playing a very nice, attacking, flowing type of what I want to say is, to use a poker term, Danny, it's all in football. In other words,
it is all in football.
All in. And, you know, if they lose, it's okay. But they're going to go down fighting. And I tell you, I know the Toffee fans out there love watching this, as opposed to David Moyes' somewhat, I don't want to say cynical, because I don't think he was cynical, but his somewhat conservative, more strategic approach to the Premier League season, the sort of idea that maybe, you know, you're going to go in and try to nick a point here or there. I don't think Martinez even has that mindset. I just think he goes out for 3 points every game. So that's to his credit, Danny. But,
well,
you know,
I don't think that anyone felt he could really go out and attack the way that he can. And this Everton team can. You know, Moyes had his sort of cagey, deliberate style over the years, and really that was just the idea that was all this group was capable of. That was Everton Football Club.
Yeah, sneaky, right? Cagey. Cagey's a great word for it. Yeah, great word.
Martinez has brought in this separate style that really is much more wide open. That's shown us that they really do have some athletic players, some really skilled players. And, of course, it's helped that they've brought in a couple more that they're just sort of borrowing. That doesn't hurt either.
Well, right. And this is where we're going with this discussion. You know, it's something that we've talked about, and I've mentioned on this show. I think I mentioned it a couple of days ago when Kartik was on, Danny, when you were taking your leave of absence to the show, which, of course, I was under terrible circumstances, by the way. But one of the things that I had mentioned, we were talking about specifically about Steve Clark sacking. And I said that, you know, in many respects, he was sacked because Romelu Lukaku didn't return to West Bromwich Albion on the last day of the season. Instead, he went to Everton. Now, look, Everton's success, if you watch them, yes, they've got a good squad. It's the same squad they've had over the years. I think they're a very journeyman squad. I think they have great belief and great confidence. Romelu Lukaku is a game changer, and quite honestly, Deulofeu has also been a game changer for them. Because as attack-minded as Lukaku is, Deulofeu is a creative player that makes things happen around him. The problem is, both of these players are out on loan. Now, you might wonder, given the problems that Chelsea have, why Lukaku is not there. It could be that, Danny, I mean, I've heard that there's been some personality run-ins between Mourinho and Lukaku. Of course, he missed that penalty in pre-season. But either way, Everton's success is built on a very shaky foundation, Danny.
Yeah, it is a shaky foundation, but the story that I saw last night, Nick, that we wanted to really hit on today was, I believe, in The Guardian. And what this story talks about is that Everton, in some ways, can become and is becoming a lone haven. Yeah. And I'm surprised for a lot of top European clubs. Let's look at it let's look at it this way, Nick, okay? Barcelona, right? Every year, Barcelona have at least one great player that is 18, 19 years old, that's an attacking player that they want to loan out. Why wouldn't Barcelona then loan this player after this experience, loan that player every year to Everton? Every year they have one player to farm off to Everton.
There's two reasons why they would do that specifically with Everton. Obviously, Roberto Martinez and his Spanish background is extremely helpful. The style of football they play, Danny, the style of football is extremely helpful. It is very much the style of football that that they want to play. They feel that the player's protected. They feel that the player's going to get regular playing time. I mean, all of those things add up, but most importantly, the style of play and the coaching and the environment has to mirror as close as possible what they have back at Barcelona in order for them to be comfortable taking one of their superstars and parking them there. And Danny, I agree with you. I think you're absolutely spot on. I think this is a relationship that is building where essentially Everton Football Club could well become a sort of minor league affiliate of Barcelona.
And just a lone haven in general, really. I think that teams around the world could like going forward to loan players to the Barclays Premier League because there's a level of pace and a level of, I don't even know if it's pace, let's say a level of intensity that goes on in the Barclays Premier League every single weekend that is unlike any other league on this planet.
Yeah.
And if you just throw an 18 or 19-year-old into that, yeah, they're going to come back to you later on in the season a little bit dinged up. But you know what, Nick? They're going to be so much better for it. They're going to have such a great – it's kind of like what they do in baseball, where they throw the top minor leaguers onto the varsity roster, if you will, every September for a month. When MLB expands their rosters in early September, and they say, you know what, go battle it out. Good luck, kid. And I think that's kind of what teams are looking at, because loaning a player to another Spanish team, let's be honest, you're really not going to accomplish that
but
much.
hold on a second. I want to take one of these quotes that Martinez said in the Guardian article, and this is why I think these Spanish teams are maybe a little loath to lend players to other Spanish teams. He said, quote, Chelsea are delighted with Romelu. He can't play against them. And the other week he helped take 2 points off Arsenal, 3 points off United. That's the way you're looking at it if you're Chelsea. It's an absolutely perfect relationship for them. And that is the same thing for Barcelona, for Madrid. If they've got a great star that they want to park somewhere, you know, they don't want to park him somewhere where he could, potentially get injured or build an allegiance to another team in Spain, start to build some roots there.
Right.
I mean, they're going to park him in Europe where he can do damage, where he can really start to come good, and then they're going to bring him back. And if it works at Everton, it's a blueprint for the future. It is not good for Everton, though, in the long run, Danny, because you want to have players that you can rely on that are going to be in there year in and year out. If Lukaku leaves at the end of the year and Everton are not able to replace him with another prolific goal scorer, someone who's going to drop in and make an immediate impact, they're going to have very different results next season, Danny.
Obviously, that's the point, but they can't afford to go out and purchase players like this over the long term.
Right. So should we temper our excitement about Everton's league position, where they're currently sitting fifth, and realize they're probably more of a 7th to 9th place in the table, given how strong some of the other teams are right now, because of the loan situation. If they don't have a Lukaku. And by the way, Deulofeu injured now.
They can go out and sign these type of players year in and year out because of their league position, because of the league they're in, because they have this Spanish manager that plays more expansive football. I think they can take this and spin this in the future. What I think is unfortunate for Everton in this deal, Nick, is if somehow they qualify for the Europa League, then they're in some real trouble. There's no way that they can truly advance in that tournament and hold their own in the Barclays Premier League, not to mention the domestic cups, with loanees, basically, especially when those loanees leave as Lukaku heads back to Chelsea. Albeit, Jose Mourinho, who's just berating his strikers, he probably would like to have Romelu Lukaku at this point.
Oh, sure, absolutely. And, with what Lukaku's doing, what Chelsea need, he's berating the fact that he has strikers aren't performing. I mean, that's really the issue. Okay, Danny, so we asked the question, is Everton's loan haven good or bad? What is it, Danny, good or bad?
I like it. I think it's a great move for them, and they should continue it going.
Good for the long term or only good for the short term?
Possibly both. Possibly both.
All right. I'm not sure that it's good for the long term. I think certainly in terms of the short term, it's really good. All right. We're going to go to break. World Soccer Radio We will be right back, so don't go anywhere.
She's just a girl. She's just a girl. The girl you want. She's just a girl. She's just a girl. The girl you want.
All right, welcome back to the show, World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA Radio Network. I'm Nick Geber, and you're rejoined here in just a moment by Danny Page. We've got a big show today. By the way, find us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio. That's at World Soccer Radio. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/World Soccer Radio. We'd love to hear from you on the show because that's kind of how it works. Big hello to our men and women in uniform listening on American Forces Radio. Hope you'll make us a regular part of your week. All right, so we've got a pretty big show for you today because we're talking about things that aren't necessarily happening. We're not talking about sort of things in the immediacy. We're talking about some slightly loftier concepts in football today. Last segment we talked about...
This is the thinking man's football show.
It is. Thank you, Danny. That's beautifully put, I might add. So,
a couple academics here.
Yes, indeed. Professors of football. Last segment, we talked about the situation at Everton Football Club and the loans. Now, though, I want to talk about a slightly different situation.
It's going to be academic, though, right?
It is,
it's
indeed.
Going to be it's part of the thinking man's football hour here.
I'm Dr. Nick, along with Dr. Danny, and this is your football therapy session. The question we asked this segment.
Don't ask us what we're doctors in, by the way.
Bovine scatology, I believe, is what we are.
You always use that, and nobody has any idea what you're talking
Well,
about.
bovine is a bull, and scatology is, poo-poo, right? So you
Yes,
get the idea, right?
but
Danny?
I understand that. It's kind of like at the end of each opening segment when you say, "Go on, run off, use the loo," and everyone is so encapsulated in your words, and then they're like, "What is the loo?"
And that's what you were doing, Danny. But when we came back,
That is exactly
yeah.
what I was in the loo.
Did I hear Ross Perot's giant flushing sound behind you? All right. Okay. So look, Danny. The question I want to ask this segment is: with the situation with Asim Alam at Hull City, with the situation with Vincent Tan at Cardiff, can owners of teams just do whatever they want? Fans be damned. Are the fans important in the game anymore? Are they germane to the operations of football clubs? Or have the fans stopped becoming fans and just started becoming spectators? I made this point over the last year or so that I think that's the way it's going with many of these football clubs, that fans are just spectators, and they're trying to fight back. And I think it's no more, you can see this no clearer than the situation at Hull City, where a club with a very long history has an owner's come in, bought them, and wants to completely change the thing that's most fundamental to the club, which is their name. And for people in America, Danny, I think a lot of people in America look at this and sort of roll their eyes and say, "Wow, Hull Tigers, that's cool." As
cool,
opposed to
man.
Hull City
All right,
Football
they got
Club.
a mascot and all, yeah.
Right, and listen, I'm of two minds about this with Asim Alam. I understand what he's trying to do. He wants to market the club outside of England, which is a very, very small market. And yeah, you're right, Danny. I mean, whether it's a nice name, whether it's a mascot, whether it's something fun, you can have Tony the Tiger being your spokesman. I don't know what he wants.
Right,
but
that'd be
I mean,
fun.
is this his right as the owner of the team, as the guy that shelled out the dosh to buy it? Does he have the right to change things that are as fundamental as the name? Because keep in mind, over the history of Hull City, Danny, he's not the only owner. And there'll be an
Right.
owner after him, and there was an owner before him. Does the club really belong to the fans, and are the owners really just the shepherds of that club, the caretakers of that
No.
club
No,
during
they-
the time? Or can they do with it as they please, Danny? How do you
They
see
could
it?
do with it as they please. I think Vincent Tan
He's a lunatic.
He's a businessman who's been told throughout his entire career how incredible he is. And I feel like he went in and bought this club just to mess with the fans, basically, for some reason. I mean, that's what it feels like. Some of his decisions are so mind-boggling, aren't they, that it seems like he went in and just said, "You know what? I'm gonna mess with these guys. Let's go in and have some fun." That's just a total nightmare. Now, the owner in Hull, does he have the right to change the name as he pleases and alter this team's future as he pleases? He most certainly does. Because I think what he's doing in the end, here's what the fans need to step back and ask themselves. Is he doing this for the betterment of the club in his eyes? Okay?
Yeah, right.
Is he doing this to grow our brand and to ensure Premier League status? And I really think that's what he's doing. He wants to name them the Hull Tigers, yes, so that Tony the Tiger can introduce his players.
They're
Tom Huddleston,
great.
he's great.
Yeah.
So there's a cross promotion with Frosted Flakes. So then in the London Zoo, the Tiger Pen is sponsored by Hull City. The point is just that fans do need to, instead of just starting with a blind rage, I think you do need to stop and say, is he trying to ensure the long-term success of the club? And that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, his
That
motivations are in the right place. That's the question, right? Is it
Whereas
about,
Vincent
is it
Tan's
about the club?
motivations-
Is it about the club and not so much about the owner and his ego? And yeah, that's a great point, Danny. I didn't think about it that way, and I'll give you one today. That's good.
Again, this is the Thinking Man's Football Show.
Well, you are a USC graduate, Danny, so you're allowed
Yes,
to come up with one
exactly.
intellectually profound
I get one a
moment
year.
which your parents paid for. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry about that.
I'm still paying.
It's very interesting. The situation at Cardiff City, though, with Vincent Tan is completely different. This, to me, is all about Vincent Tan and his ego. By the way, I want to get back to Asim Alam in a second, but to talk about Vincent Tan for a minute, this is about his ego and his lack of understanding about what it takes to run a football club, a lack of understanding about how you support a manager. The very fact that he fired Malky Mackay's right-hand man, who was his head scout at the club, and put into place some kid that was painting the fence at the
Yeah.
stadium.
I mean,
I mean, who was a friend of his son who plays Football Manager, boggles the mind. This is a guy who's so angry, so irritated, so much about him. He wants to make a statement. He is in what we would call a pissing match with Malky Mackay, and he's not going to fire him. Mackay's not going to quit. They're just going to face off eye to eye like one of those really bad action movies, okay? And meanwhile, around them, the owner, Vincent Tan, is going to be bringing in all of these ridiculous cast of characters. So whether it's firing the head scout, whether it's you're coming out publicly and saying that Mackay will have not one single penny in January to spend on new players.
Right.
This is about the ego of
so good.
This is about the ego of two men, coming head to head, and none of this is about the football team. The football team is the one that really is going to suffer from this, and it's surprising to me, quite honestly, that they're doing what they're doing and they're not currently in the relegation zone with this sort of turmoil coming on. There's two very different situations with these owners here, Danny, with the one exception that Asim Alam also doesn't understand football culture in England. Any man who's going to come up and say, when the fans were singing, "We're Hull City till we die," he says the fans can go off and die.
Yeah, that's showing that different
lack of
and
respect.
Incorrect and improper understanding. I wonder if one should look, and I know it's completely different with a club of this size and the amount of money they're spending, but I wonder if one should look at what the family that has taken over Manchester City has done. And I look at also Chelsea, right? Roman Abramovich has wanted to move grounds, and even that horrifies the Chelsea supporters. It angers them, and it's like, listen, he has sunk 1.2 billion pounds into your club.
Danny,
give it a rest.
Danny, there is no club in English football that is a better example of a club where fans are spectators and not fans than Chelsea Football Club. Roman Abramovich
What do you mean by that?
He doesn't give a snuff what the fans think.
Right.
Okay, now he's a lot more subtle about it than Asim Alam, let's be honest. But at the end of the day, he's going to do what he wants. He's going to bring Rafa Benitez in, even though he knows that that's going to draw the ire and the vitriol of the fans who have a visceral dislike of Rafa Benitez, going back to those great battles with Liverpool where Benitez got the better of them. And the comments that Benitez made. But he doesn't care. He's going to bring Benitez in anyway. He's going to demand that Fernando Torres get played week in and week out, whether he's performing or not, just because he wants to. Look, I've said this about Abramovich before. He's a guy who's sitting in his mega yacht in the Med, in his master bedroom, which has a big, round bed on it, and he's surrounded by live supermodels, all in various stages of undress, all performing around him and, touching him and wanting to be there with him. And there's Roman in his boxers, legs crossed, not interested in what these supermodels are doing. He's playing Football Manager, damn it. That is Roman Abramovich. He is the ultimate tinkerer owner, and he's going to do what he wants to do. He doesn't care what the fans want him to do. It's his money, his club, his way. If you want it, you're on for the ride. If you don't want it, well, too bad. That is the state of fans of the game today. They don't have any power anymore.
He won 2 now European trophies at Chelsea Football Club. He can do whatever he wants.
I agree,
now,
but that doesn't change the fact that he doesn't listen to what the fans want. He does what he wants. Whether what he wants ultimately is the right thing or not is a different matter. The question is, do the fans have an input?
What I was getting to with Man City is they've done nothing but respect and embrace the traditions of a club that has not had tradition in trophies, but has had tradition in how they're supported. And I think the fact that we've only seen the owner at 1 or 2 matches is absolutely brilliant.
What about John W. Henry at Liverpool? I think he's done a similar job. But, if you're the shepherd of the Boston Red Sox, right, you're going to understand history. You're going to understand an old club. You're going to understand what it means to the city and to the supporters. So there are different tranches of ownership, no doubt. But at the end of the day, Danny, I don't care whether you're talking about Liverpool or whether you're talking about Cardiff or Hull City or Chelsea or Man United. The owner owns the team. It's the golden rule, Danny. He who makes the goal, who has the gold, makes the rules, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that in football.
But the ownership of Hull City has no right to tell the fans they should go off and die. I mean, that is appalling.
No, that is absolutely appalling.
They deserve proper respect for, generations of fans.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you on that one, Danny. All right, you're listening to World Soccer Radio on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. That was an interesting segment. Hope you took notes. Pop quiz when we come back on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Nick Geber and Danny Page with you. We're going to step aside, take a break, and be right back with more. The next question we're going to ask you, what'll the table look like January 1? Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. All right. Welcome back to the show. Hurry Up Harry, Sham 69. Somewhat fitting, I suppose. I wonder if Harry's going to hurry up back to White Hart Lane. World Soccer Radio on the Sports Byline USA Network. Nick Geber, Danny Page with you. Find us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio, Facebook, facebook.com/World Soccer Radio. Call us in studio, 800-878-PLAY, 800-878-PLAY. Oh, so many ways to get to us. So little time, right, Danny?
You're absolutely right. Hey, Nick, did you see this story that Liverpool are going to bid $25 million for Paul Pogba? How have you not brought this up to me at any point?
I haven't seen that story, to be honest.
Really? They're going to bid 25 for Pogba in January.
I don't believe it. I'm sorry. I have heard that they're going to sign Xavi Alonso. We got this Twitter, I apologize for not reading out the bloke's name on Twitter that sent us the inside scoop that they're going to sign Xavi Alonso to a 2-year deal. Mark Ingram, thank you.
At Tardelli Fella, Mark Ingram says Liverpool to re-sign Xavi Alonso on 2-year deal in January.
You know, I wouldn't be against that. Xavi Alonso was a legend when he was at Liverpool. He is a legend now. He's a brilliant creative, visionary midfielder. Running a lot's never been the key to his game. So as he gets older, he's not going to, he's not getting he's not deteriorating quite the same way.
Right.
So we'll see. I did, however, hear, and this is a little off topic, but I did hear that Liverpool are negotiating right now on a new contract with Luis Suarez that will make him the highest paid player in Liverpool history, one of the highest paid players in the Premier League. But I ask you this, Danny. I mean, they just signed him to a new contract, a year or two ago? So he's still, deep in the bowels of his new contract. Last year, he said he wanted to leave. I'm okay with the new contract, but a lot of people are raising eyebrows about it, given the fact that, he has, his want-away situation during the summer. But for me, Danny, anyone that's knocking in 17 goals in 11 games, you want to tie him up as long as you can.
Yeah, honestly, the way he's scoring, Nick, does he deserve to make more than £100,000 a week? Unquestionably.
Unquestionably. If you want to fend off the big boys, there are two things you have to do. Number one, you have to say, we're going to give you Champions League football, and we have a history, and we can win the bloody thing. We're going to compete for the league year in and year out. And, oh, by the way, we're going to pay you what the other guys are paying you anyway. So the discussion becomes less about what his salary is and more about which home he's going to be more comfortable in. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to position themselves for the end of the season, when or if they make the Champions League, to have to be able to, have him on a contract and be able to move forward. So I get it. I think it's a very good, solid, sound business move. Once again, I smell John W. Henry behind a lot of these moves. I think this guy is a really savvy owner. I think he's, Liverpool very lucky to have him.
One thing I'd love to, absolutely. I really like John W. Henry, and also in American sports, what he did with the Red Sox this year.
Yep.
I mean, they
champions
basically tossed useless payroll out the door and filled it with great players. One thing that I do want to point out that we talked about a long time ago on this show, really back in the summer before the season started, where would Man United's midfield be if they hadn't let two players leave on a free, and that's Paul Pogba and Ravel Morrison? And that was because Ferguson didn't want to deal with their immature behavior and felt that they weren't worthy of playing for him. I mean, what if those two players, and yes, they had some problems, but especially how different would this United team be if Ferguson had put in a little bit of care with Paul Pogba and really tried. Don't you think so?
I think you're bang on, Danny. And I'll tell you something else, too. And it was a statement made by a former United player, and I don't remember which one it was, saying that it's all about Alex Ferguson and not necessarily about United. And, the more you look at what Alex Ferguson did that last year, it was about him winning that last trophy rather than worrying about the future of the club. Because you're right, Ravel Morrison, Paul Pogba, they're gone. He didn't rebuild any parts of the team that really needed rebuilding. He just brought Robin Van Persie in to score over the problems, which he did, by the way, beautifully. But when you bring in a player that at 8 years in Arsenal gave you a season and a half of injury-free performance, the long term, that isn't a player that you can build a franchise or a club or success on in the long term, because he's going to be injured on and off.
Yes.
Again, this is about Sir Alex Ferguson. It wasn't about Man United, and that's why I'm so upset that David Moyes has been coming under such pressure, because I think you've got to give the man a chance, and he is going to get it done, but you have to understand what was left for him. Yes, they're a championship team, no doubt about it, but this was a very shaky championship team the last couple of years anyway. I mean, we all said last year that this was one of the weakest Premier Leagues that we'd seen in years and years, and I'd say the opposite this year. It's one of the strongest.
Yeah, absolutely. The funny thing is, when you say United are a championship team,
no, I mean,
you think about the other. You think about the other championship.
Right. That's not what I'm suggesting. You know what I mean? They are the
with
team.
The way that they've been performing this year.
Right.
Unfortunately, I just think that anytime, and this does happen occasionally, that anytime a team lets a young player like that leave on a free. Right. You have to criticize. Barcelona's done it, a couple times around.
But Danny, that of course is because we're using Americanisms here. If we weren't, we would have said they were the title-winning team. But
right, I know.
But it brings a great segue, Danny, because you know what? I have done a little soothsaying work. I took out my crystal ball and I put on my soothsayer outfit, my Miss Cleo. And I'm telling you, Dan.
What is your Miss Cleo?
You probably don't remember Miss Cleo. She was a television psychic that would say, "Call me now for your free reading." So here you go.
Was this on UK television?
No, it was on American television, Danny. But you were probably pooing in your diapers at that point in your life.
Right.
All right. So I went through, Danny, and I looked at all the fixtures between now and January the 1st, and I predicted some results. And then what I did is I went and I tallied up the points that each of the top 7 or 8 teams would get from those results that I had predicted. And I took a wee peek at the table to get an idea of what things will look like on January 2nd. Should we go for it?
Absolutely. I think you're completely crazy here.
Okay.
But nonetheless,
all right. Well, look,
give it a shot, Nick.
Well, let's start with the big boys at Arsenal, shall we? Because they have left Chelsea, West Ham, Newcastle, and Cardiff. I have them beating Chelsea. I have them beating West Ham United. I have them drawing Newcastle. Keep that one in mind. And I have them beating Cardiff. I have them taking 10 or 12 points. That's going to take them up to 45 points. And any scenario that I have, Danny, I don't have any teams replacing them at the top of the table. So I will predict that Arsenal Football Club will be top of the table come January the 2nd. All right, so that's my big prediction for you. Take your money, run down to the sports book, put it all on there. I'll make you a millionaire. Okay. Next,
it's funny that Nick Bonsanto before us tells everyone never to gamble, and then you sarcastically are like, "Hey, run down to the sports book."
Is that what Nick says? I think it is. All right. Life is for fun, and no, Vegas is for fun or something. Sports is for fun, and life is for real.
Don't play with your life.
Whatever.
The
gospel according to Nick Monsanto. Okay, so let's go. Liverpool second. Now I know people are going to be rolling their eyes and having a laugh at this one, but for Liverpool,
let me guess. Liverpool
beating Cardiff this weekend. All right.
Okay.
Drawing Man City at the Etihad. Drawing Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. All right, I think it's at the bridge if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And beating Hull. And beating, and that's it. So taking 8 out of 12 points.
Yeah.
The point that I'm going to make here, Danny, is even if I don't think they're going to lose to City and lose to Chelsea. I mean,
they're going to lose to both.
You think they're going to lose to both? Really? Okay,
Yeah.
I don't. I don't think there's any way they lose to both. I think they'll get at least 1 point off those matches. I'm going to go on a limb and say 2, but that's because I can, because this is my prediction. All right, so I've got Chelsea then losing at Arsenal, beating Swansea, drawing Liverpool, and drawing Southampton. Okay, so that's going to be, I think I might have tallied up their points wrong. 3, 4, 5. So they're going to get 5 out of 12 points. Okay. Man City, I've beating Fulham, drawing Liverpool.
Wait, who are getting? Chelsea are getting 5 out?
5 out of 12. Yeah, they're going to beat Arsenal. They're going to lose against Arsenal. They're going to beat Swansea. They're going to draw Liverpool, and I have them drawing Southampton as well. That's purely on away and home form, people. That's how I came up with some of these predictions.
See, I really disagree with you there too. I think that this is a time of year when Jose can really get it together.
Well, he really did a great job yesterday, didn't he?
Listen,
in the Capital One Cup, getting beaten by Sunderland.
With a manager like Jose Mourinho, I don't think it's fair to look at things and say, well, this is their way for him. This is it, because he can get it together with this team. I really think they can beat Arsenal when you look at what they did against them in the Capital One Cup, which you just brought up. They did back, end of October, early November. I think that you are way off on Chelsea, and obviously you have no idea what's going on with Liverpool.
Danny,
but anyway, continue.
Danny, Chelsea have lost to Newcastle, drawn West Brom, and they lost to Stoke. It's not the big boys that they have trouble with, okay? It's the lesser teams. That's why I'm saying I do think they're going to lose to Arsenal, but that's why I'm saying I think they're going to draw Liverpool, draw Southampton. But that's fine. These are my predictions, okay? Man City, I've got beating Fulham, drawing Liverpool, beating Crystal Palace, and drawing Swansea away. Because I'm still not convinced about Man City's away form. If their away form can come around, obviously that will change. So I have Man City taking 8 of 12 points. Everton, draw Swansea, beat Sunderland, beat Southampton, draw Stoke. 8 out of 12 points for Everton. Newcastle, beat Crystal Palace, beat Stoke, draw Arsenal, beat West Bromwich Albion. I have 10 out of 12 points for Newcastle in the Christmas break. I know people are looking at me and laughing, but that's what I'm predicting, okay? Tottenham, I have them losing to Southampton, beating West Brom, beating Stoke, and losing to Man United. Man United, I have them beating West Ham, drawing Norwich, beating Spurs, and I have them, I don't know what that is. Is that beating Hull, I think that is.
Wait. They're drawing Norwich.
They're drawing Norwich. They're going to beat West Ham, Spurs, and Hull, and they're going to draw Norwich. That's right. That's right. That's what I have. I've got to have an upset
What
in
is
there.
going on here? This
So-
is some really terrible radio at this point.
No,
I
it's
think.
great, Danny, because I'm going to tell you now where things are going to stand.
All right,
Are
all
you
right.
ready?
I'm
Arsenal
ready.
are going to finish top. Liverpool are going to finish second.
And
Are
this
going
is
to be
finished
second.
2013.
Yeah, yeah,
Tom.
to finish 2013. Excuse me. Yeah, Chelsea. I'm going to have Man City are going to be in third. Everton are going to be in fourth. Chelsea are going to be in fifth. All right. Sixth will still be Newcastle. Seventh will be United. Eighth will be Spurs. That's how I have the table ending. Danny, I want you to do the same thing so that tomorrow we can get on the air and talk about it.
Here's the thing that I'm hoping for with the Christmas period that will make the Christmas period entertaining as we head into this weekend. The table you produced is very similar to what we're looking at now, with the exception of Chelsea's sort of anticipated free fall.
No, it's not so much a free fall. It's more Man City leapfrogging them and Everton continuing to do well, because you have to look at what the schedules look like.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I hope that everything is flipped upside down. And that's what I anticipate, even without looking at the fixtures. I think I would foresee City going top, Arsenal down toward third, Liverpool maybe hanging around in second, or maybe Chelsea even jumping into that spot. I worry about Arsenal, especially with this match coming up against Chelsea on Monday, and that's sort of starting a bit of a tumble after City thrashed Liverpool on Sunday. I just don't understand how you have Liverpool drawing Man City and Chelsea.
Because it's not going to go on
other
forever.
than complete and total bias.
Well, I'm a little biased, I'll admit it, but I'm allowed to
Okay.
be. I'm a football fan. You see, I am a fan, not a spectator of
And
my
you
team.
also despise Chelsea.
I
too.
don't
think
despise Chelsea.
you
Actually, no, you are so wrong, my friend. I don't despise any team in the Premier League, with the sole exception of Manchester United, where
Okay.
I have a deep, visceral, gut-wrenching hatred of them.
Norwich, I'll tell you one thing. When I look at the lineup of fixtures, these next four, it really sets up well for United.
It does.
To sort of blink and open their eyes on January 2nd after these fixtures are done, and be right on the edge of the top four.
Well, I haven't taken 10 or 12 points, but either way, I still don't have them climbing into a European spot. All right, this is World Soccer Radio on the Sports Byline at USA Radio Network. We do have to go to break. Nick Eber, Danny Page with you. Hope you're enjoying the show. We always have a lot of fun doing it every weeknight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, we're going to go. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to the show, World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Nick Eber, Danny Page with you.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, we're with you each and every weeknight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Sports Byline Network, American Forces, iHeart, TuneIn, World Soccer Talk, watch WSR. Man, all you got to do is wet your finger, stick it out the window, and you will pick us up some way. Right, Danny?
I have never heard that terminology before, Nick. I really enjoyed you running through your predictions of every single Barclays Premier League match. I think the interesting side that we need to look at, or we would have looked at, was what happens at the bottom of the table, because that always is really intriguing. What happens in January, or in December, and what we see in January. You know, teams lose all 4 matches, and all of a sudden they're in the relegation zone, or a team goes on and wins a couple, and they pop out of the relegation zone. But I'm also interested to see your predictions for 2014, 2015 for Liverpool next season. I mean, if they're going to draw City and Chelsea away, what's the deal? Are they going to win everything next year? Sticking in line with these predictions, Liverpool will win the Champions League and the FA Cup.
Well, why not? They've won it all before,
Premier
Danny.
League.
Why wouldn't they win it again?
The St. Johnstone's Paint Trophy.
That is in the cabinet.
The Intertoto Cup, the European Fair Winners' Cup, the Potato Sack Races.
That's right. The World War I Challenge Cup, right?
The FA Youth Cup, the Masters. Why not?
Why not, Danny? The Super Bowl, for crying out loud.
Why doesn't Luis Suarez start golfing? And,
I have no idea. All right,
because
folks.
that is how ridiculous that prediction is, that they will take points at Stamford Bridge and at the Etihad. There's literally no chance.
All right,
whatsoever.
well, we'll see. We'll see, Danny. Let the truth be told. All right, I hope you enjoyed the show. We're going to go. Coming up next on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network, the legend, the one, the only, Mr. Ron Barr, coming up next right here on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. We got to go. Cheers. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Until then, have an absolutely wonderful night.
Whatever happened to all of the heroes, all the Shakespeareos? They watch their own band